Hello, this is Belinda. I'm back today to share another Scrappy Christmas in July layout. My layout design today has been inspired by a sketch from one of the Scrapbook Generation sketch ebooks, and this is an Allison Davis sketch. If you are into using sketches and you're not already aware of them, I do highly recommend that you check out Scrapbook Generation. They've got heaps of really good products. This isn't sponsored, I'm not an affiliate. I've just recently become aware of these myself, and I have purchased some of the ebooks, and I'm finding them really helpful, particularly because the one that I'm working off at the moment is geared towards Christmas or winter themed layouts. So they are really well suited to getting some Christmas themed layouts done quickly and easily. So I have been inspired by the sketch. It's not going to be a direct replica, but I'm just going to talk you through what I'm working with today. I have got my 6x8 paper pad, which is from Crepe Paper Merry Days. This is a couple of years old now. This is the only product, or the only thing that I have from the Merry Days collection. Not sure why I didn't pick up more of it, but for whatever reason, the only thing I got was the 6x8 paper pad. So I'm going to see how much of the layout I can pull together just using this. I've grabbed a piece of pattern paper from my Christmas stash. I think this came from a Die Cuts with a View paper pad, and I'd already used a little bit of it. I am scrapping these two photos of my grandma and my daughter Violet. That's Violet's first Christmas. And to embellish this layout, I have used, I'm going to hold these ones up, I've used my silhouette and some rose gold foil cardstock, and I have used the Cut to Use Star Trio cut file, which I'll link in the description box below. And I've cut out those stars using the gold foil. They turned out really beautifully. They were nice clean cuts, which I was super happy with. I've cut them out in a variety of different sizes, and I'm going to be layering them up in a band down my page. So I've also gone ahead and from this Merry Days paper pad, I've cut some circles, some scallops in different shapes, different sizes. Some of them are layered on using just some plain white cardstock, others are on their own, and I have gone through and added some hand stitching around the edge of them just for a little bit more interest. So that's what I'm working with. Let's hop on fast forward and see how this all comes together. Okay, so I'm starting off by adhering these gold foil die cut stars down to the hand stitched circle pieces. I'm using my Art Institute glitter glue with the fine tip applicator, which if you have watched any of my videos recently, you'll know is my absolute perfect wet adhesive. And I am pretty sure I will be purchasing and using this for as long as it is being manufactured. I love it so much. Yeah, so don't know if you saw in the introduction video, but you certainly will see later on with the stars I have created, or the stars and the circles, there's a variety of sizes and different layerings, and of course different patterns, and I've tried to make sure that I'm not going to end up with two of the same pattern in the same size, if that makes sense. But I finished that off camera, and now I'm going to work on creating the background page for the layout. It is fairly simple because those stars and circle pieces really are the standout feature of the layout, and because they are so dominant and they are so pretty and decorative, if that's the right way to describe it, there's not a heck of a lot of other embellishing that goes on this layout. So it is one that actually came together pretty quickly for me. What I'm looking for now is another pattern paper, because I want to add a thinner piece running down alongside the seam there from that pink diamond pattern paper. And I'm going to use that green holly. And then I also wanted to grab another piece of paper to mat my photos on. So that pink diamond print paper is about 3 inches, I believe, and maybe it's a little bit more. And this green holly is about 1.5 inches. Now I cut 2 strips, not realizing that my paper pad was actually a 6x8, or didn't register in my brain at the time. And I really only needed to cut 1 because I actually don't end up running the strip down the full length of the page. I don't need to, which you'll see when I start to bring it all together. So I could have just got away with using one there, but oh well. Now I'm adding a white mat to my photos, which is something that I always do, but this time it's a little bit different because I am actually matting the photos together, one on top of the other. And now I do apologize for the focusing issues. Once again, something has obviously changed in the settings on my camera, and I was not aware of the focus shifting continually until much later on when I came to edit my videos. So I will be sure to fix that before I go and film anymore, and I do apologize if that continues to happen throughout this video. So I've got my white photo mat, and now I'm layering it onto that. It's like it's a really cool cream, almost like a grey patterned paper. And the reason I am doing that is because the white photo mat against the white background just wasn't going to stand out. So I wanted something in between to help those photos stand out. And of course, as usual, I've got my distress tool and I am distressing the edges of the photo mats. And I'm also going to run around and distress the edges of each of these circle pieces, just again to help give them a little bit more definition and to add some more texture to the page. So off camera, I have added a stitched border, and this time I'm using some red thread on my machine. This is one of the rare pages where I haven't matted the entire page. So to compensate for that, because it is something that I prefer aesthetically, I have added a contrasting color around the edge just to help frame. I like my layouts to feel like there is a frame, like things are not falling off the edges, and to keep everything nice and contained. That's just me, that's my aesthetic. I'd love to know, is there something that you need to have on a layout for it to be complete? Is there one thing that it's just your style? I'd love to know what that is. If you would like to leave me a comment, I'd love to hear what you have to say. So now I'm going to start layering up these circles. Now in the sketch, it called for the photos to sit behind the circles. And you can see that that's what I've started off with, but because my circles are a little bit bigger than what was used in the sketch, I felt like my photo was just not really the focal point of the layout if it was tucked in behind those circles. So I do actually layer my photo on top of the circles. And you've seen there, I've just taken a photo because I was happy with the placement and I didn't want to have to mess around with it again. So I've just taken a photo and I'm going to have my phone off to the side there. And this is where I said that once I'd layered all those circles down, I realized that I didn't actually need to run that particular piece of patterned paper all the way down the middle of the page. So I have saved a little bit of paper there and left a gap in the middle because it is going to be covered up by these circles. So now I'm coming back in and layering these circles down the right hand side of the page. And when I laid these out, I was careful to make sure that I had a good mix of sizes and colors. I didn't want to have two of the same sitting next to each other. I wanted it to be nice and varied. And again, to keep it nice and varied, I am adding a little bit of foam tape just behind some of the circles, just to help them pop off the page a little bit and to add a little bit more interest and dimension to this very large cluster of circles which runs down the page there. And when I have laid everything down, I do change up the placement of some of the circles just a little bit. And it's only because, I think it was because of those green pieces there, because they're the only really dark green that features on the layout. They were sitting quite close together when I had laid them out initially, and they really did draw your eye. So I moved that smaller one down a little bit just to help with the movement across the page. And now I'm coming in, I had 3 extra gold foil circles in quite a small size, and my plan was to tuck those in without having the circle backgrounds. And so I'm tucking those in the gaps there. And then off camera, I'm going to show you up close now. I've used a circle, just a plain cardstock circle as a template to punch some holes around the outside of each of those 3 stars. And then I've hand stitched straight onto the page. And that is just for consistency because all of the circle pieces were hand stitched. It was also something that was used in the sketch. And I really like it. I think it helps those, helps fill in those gaps, and it just helps the eye move around the page, particularly because there's 3 pieces there. So now I'm ready to lay my photo down. You'll see that I have added some foam tape to the left-hand side of that photo, and that's because some of the circles on the right-hand side are popped up a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that my photo was going to sit nice and flat above those circles. And of course, it got really stuck to my T-square ruler as I was trying to get it lined up. And down it goes happily. Unlike my last Scrappy Christmas in July video, I was a little bit more careful about where I placed this photo so that I didn't have to worry about trying to pull it up again. So my title for this page is going to read Christmas with Grandma. That's my grandma, known as Granny to my kids. She sadly is no longer with us, but I am really, really grateful that my kids did get to spend a couple of Christmases with her, and that I've got some really lovely photos of them with her that I can scrap and document so that they can remember her as they get older. And the title, I'm using 2 different fonts here. That Christmas piece comes from a Thickers set, which is Christmas themed. And these little alphas, I want to say they're October Afternoon. They're really, really old. They're from 2013. I have got so many alphabet stickers in my stash, and I hoard them. I really do. Because something like this with that cream and the pink is one that I would look at and think, oh, that's perfect, but I really love them, so I'm going to hoard them. Well, not anymore. I'm using them. And what I discovered is that the adhesive on the back of them is pretty much entirely gone. They're really, really old, so the adhesive just isn't there anymore. So each one is getting laid down with just a dot of that art glitter glue underneath to keep them stuck down nice and firmly. And then my journaling, just a really simple, really simple journaling, talking about how this was a really special and heartwarming moment for me, and I'm tucking that in underneath the title. Now I'm having a look through my Nuvo drops swatches. I have a newly organized collection of Nuvo drops, and I have taken the time to make some swatch cards because I love these things and I love finishing off my layouts with these Nuvo drops. This time I have chosen 2. I'm using a translucent red, which I believe is called it's a raspberry. It's one of the jewel drops. And I'm also using Nuvo glitter drops in a really nice coppery gold glitter. I'm using them to fill in some of the spaces along the circle cluster down the side there, but I'm also just randomly scattering them around the white because there was a lot of white space and I just wanted to add a little bit of filler in there, just randomly placing them down to fill in some of the gaps. And that is it. That finishes off my layout. As usual, I've got some close-up photos coming. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.